Hi, good morning. As you can see, it is Smartdoll time and it's Smartdoll crochet time. Now here we've got Brie here and she's in her gorgeous dress from Bella's Doll Clothes. Absolutely love this dress. And we needed a sun hat to go with it. So this is the one I've done. I have done sun hats before, but this one, if you can see, let me try and tip it up. It's got a slightly different brim to what I've done before. I've kept it simple, otherwise it's in a double knit yarn. It is a cotton though. I think 100% cotton works better with these hats with brims because it holds it nice and solid. So I definitely think you need to do that. If you're using acrylic yarn, it's going to have a tendency to flop a little bit more. It might work, depends on how tight perhaps your crochet is. That can also be a key factor. So we're going to make this one. Don't forget I'm using UK terms, so you may need either a conversion chart or you may be used to the difference anyway. I just like to let people know because it can cause problems, particularly with double crochets. I've had a lot of people say, it's not a double crochet, it's a single crochet. Well, it's both. It's just obviously different terminologies from different places, but we do call it a double crochet here in the UK. So apologies if that causes any confusion, but I say grab a conversion chart and it does help if you do that. So that's it really, not got much more to say. We're going to go top down, we're going to get on with the hat. It's also a hat I'm going to make for Dolly Con as well because I think it looks quite cute. I think Brie looks quite cute in that, and I love the colour because I wanted a little bit of green to go with this gorgeous dress she's got on. So let's go top down now and let's have a go at this hat. I'll see you in a second. Well, here is my Brie. Now, Brie is one of my smart dolls. If you've not seen her before, I have done an unboxing, which I will sort of pop on the end so you can have a little look if you want. Now, as I mentioned, Brie's here in this gorgeous dress by Bella's Doll Clothes. If you've not seen her items as well, I'll pop a link in because her gorgeous clothes are stunning. I love them. I have so many. But what we're going to concentrate on today is the hat. So I'm actually going to pop Brie to one side. Then I will take her hat off and we'll pop her away for a while. So pop her behind me so she don't fall off there. And this is the hat I am looking at. Now, I know I've made this for a smart doll, but it will fit any other doll of this approximate head circumference. And depending on what yarn you use, please watch out for that. It could alter. It could make it larger or smaller. This is a 100% cotton yarn I am using. It is a double knit yarn as well. So depending on what you're using, it could alter. So what I usually recommend is when you get to about here, keep trying it on your doll, keep trying it on your doll. You might need less rows, you might need more rows, things like that, because every doll's slightly different as well, and every yarn's slightly different. Everybody's tension is slightly different. So when you are making clothes like this, like if you were making clothes for yourself, it's about checking all the time as we go. But this is a pretty standard hat. It's not a tight fitting hat, so it fits comfortably. Because it's yarn, it's got a bit of stretch as well, so that's not too bad. But that is the hat we're going to do. Now, the thing is, I was going to do this morning. I've got everything ready, and then I've gone and lost the pattern. So I've just had to very quickly remember what I've done and written it down really rough. So I have written it down. So I might be winging some of this, but we'll be okay. So I've got my pen and paper ready. I've got my very scribbled notes. Look at these scribbled notes here. I am going to turn it into a pattern, so it will be on my website. I know I'm a bit behind with patterns, but I will be getting there, so we will get some patterns. So just a pair of scissors that I need. Obviously, if you're sewing up, you need your sewing up needles and things like that. So as I've already mentioned, the yarn, the hook size, this is a 3mm hook size. Again, hooks can vary in different places, so conversion charts for both the pattern and for hooks is always a handy thing to have. Most crochet books have them in, but you can Google it and you'll find it easy enough. Because as I've just mentioned about patterns, this is in UK terms. Don't forget that. You will need a conversion. If you're sort of US, I don't know whether there's any others, but that is usually the basic conversion chart you do get. I'm just looking at this camera and wondering whether I might have to move it. I've done it a long way over there. I'm going to have to reach across to crochet. I think I'm going to pause it and move my camera back a little bit because otherwise I'm going to be leaning way over the table to do it, which will be quite uncomfortable. So I'm going to pause for a second. And I'm back. I'm hoping that's still filming in the same direction. I've not altered anything, so fingers crossed. So we're going to get on with this. It doesn't take long to do. It's one of those nice quick makes. I think it's really summery, very boho. A bit of fun for the doll to wear as well. I know I'm also making these for Dollycon, and I'm also doing some for Cindy, and Barbie's going to get some as well, because I just loved how the patterning works. So obviously then I'm using different yarns, but this is fine for the Smartdoll. So let's undo a little bit of this. Now, as you know, most of my work does start amigurumi-esque. I'm not fond of the magic circle or magic ring, but if you do prefer it, please use it. Sometimes it comes down to personal preference when you're working. Just because somebody shows you to do it one way, if you like the way you do it the way you feel comfortable with. So we're going to start with 2 chain. And into my first chain, I'm going to pop my 6 double crochets. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now I do believe a beginner could do this, but if you're not sure what the stitches are, I do have some basic techniques, but there's loads of them out there on YouTube. Have a look first. You need to feel confident with the stitch before you can do the item really, but it is basically double crochets, half trebles and trebles, and it's just a combination of them to get the nice hat. So we now have 6 stitches there. We're going to just jump into this first one with 2 half trebles. Make sure you pick up both pieces. Can you see I'm picking up both pieces there? So half treble, remember we don't complete it like a treble, we pull it through all 3. So you go yarn round, in, pull it through. We have 3, pull it through all 3. So that's 2 in our first one. We now need to do 2 in each of the remaining 5. So we're going to get 12 stitches in total. So 2 half trebles in our second one. 2 half trebles in number 3. 2 half trebles in number 4. Yarn's getting in the way. And 4 in number 5. And our last one in number 6. That's 2 in number 6. So we should have 12 stitches there. So we've just started this center part of the hat. We're going to now double that up again. So into each of these 12, we're going to do, you guessed it, 2 half trebles. So yarn round into the first one, half treble and a half treble. That's our first one. So in number 2, half treble, half treble. Into number 3, half treble, half treble. Number 4, half treble, half treble. Number 5, number 6, so we're halfway there now. Let me pull some of this yarn out. It's going to roll around the table, I know it is. Stay there, stay there, stay there. I did say number 6, didn't I? I hope so. I'll count it in a second if not. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. There's a piece of my hair in there. Number 10. Number 11. And now number 12. I've just washed my hair actually, so I'm sat here with wet hair. So I've just brushed it out. I don't normally have it loose when I'm working, but it's loose at the moment, so that's probably where I've caught it up. So I'll have to pull that out. That's going to annoy me. There we go. So we now have 24 stitches. Still not enough, as you can see. We need 1 more increase round. That is if I have read my own pattern right. Because like I say, I had to guess the pattern back off the hat. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. So what we're going to do for this round is you're going to do 2 half trebles in the first one, 1 in the second. 2, 1, 2, 1. I think you get the idea. So that would be a bracketed part in your pattern where it would be saying 2 half trebles and then a 1 half treble in the next one. So off we go. Just thought I haven't got a stitch marker out. I will have to get one. They are not far from me, but we'll do this round first. I'll count it. So that is 1 set of that. There we go. So we did a 2 and a 1. That's our first set. Second set, a 2 and a 1. We need 12 sets in total. Third set, a 2 and a 1. Set number 4, a 2 and a 1. Set number 5, 2 and 1. Number 6, 2. These are all half trebles, remember. And 1. Number 7, we're almost there. 2 and a 1. 8, 2 and 1. So you can see it's growing nicely there. So that was set number 8, wasn't it? So set number 9, we have a 2 in 1 and a 1 in 1. Number 10, a 2 and a 1. So we've only got 2 more sets to do. So this is set number 11. We have 2 in that first stitch, 1 in the next one, and our very last set we have a 2 and we have a 1. So now I increased 12 times round that. So I now should have 36 stitches. Now the next bit goes just straight. So we're going to be doing 6 rounds of just 1 half treble in each stitch. Some of you might now want to pause me and skip ahead because you're sort of going at different speeds, or you just like watching the video in sections. Everybody does this different. So I'm going to grab myself a stitch marker and I'm going to do these 6 rounds with you. If you're staying with me, I'll be chattering along, or if you want to pop your music on or something like that, just turn the volume down on me. Whichever way works for you. But I'm going to just grab that stitch marker, so bear with me a second. Right, this is my little tub for my stitch markers. It's actually it was cat treats that came in it, but I just thought it was really nice tin, so I had to keep it. So we have stitch markers. What am I going to use? What shall we use? I'm going to use that one. This is one of my daughter's designs. She did 3 of these. These are really, really cute, so I'm going to go for that one. That is the little deer, actually. They were all like little animals. I can't see the others. I'm just making a noise in the tin. Oh, is that one? Oh, look, there's one. That was little fox. Little fox is gorgeous as well. No, in fact, we'll use fox. It'll look nicer against that green, won't it? So I'll pop the tin away and off we go when I put my stitch marker in for 6 rounds. So I have my pen and paper. I have my stitch marker in, so I don't need to worry about counting. If you do want to count, as I say, you should have 36 stitches, but otherwise we can just go for it. We'll sort of have a little chat while we're at it. So just 1 half treble into each one. Remember, it's too easy to slip back into a treble when you're doing this. You need 3 on the hook and you need to pull through all 3, otherwise you've gone into a treble. And if you slide into doing a treble, you're going to end up with a rather large hat, but it might fit a bigger doll that you've got, so perhaps it would work, I don't know. So here we go, round 1. Absolutely love this cotton. It's a mercerized cotton, so we have a slight shine to it, but it sort of slides through the hook really, really nice. I prefer the mercerized cottons than just the plain cotton. I think they're a little bit dull. They have their place, but I like a little bit of shine in my work. So off we go. I do need to get some Smartdoll stuff made for Dollycon, actually. I don't do as much Smartdoll for Dollycon because a lot of their stuff is sort of more smaller fashion doll, but there are some collectors there, so it's nice to do a few new bits and pieces. So I'm going to be making some of these hats, and we're going to have a few outfits as well. So we're almost round for our first one. Round to our little foxy there. You see it's already starting to curl, which is good, but you'll find it curls the wrong way. It curls towards you and you want it to curl the other way, so you do have to keep pushing it. Right, so as I say, I've got my pen and paper and I'm going to mark it down. We have our round 1. So if you push it out, you can already see we're getting a hat shape there. So we've only got 5 more to do. It's not really that much, is it? I know some of my, I'm dropping the stitches there. Love crochet for that. If you drop the stitch, it makes no difference. Off we go. What I was going to say is a lot of my patterns do have double crochets with hats like this. So yes, it takes longer. but I thought because it's a sun hat, it's supposed to be sort of a little bit airy, sort of a bit breezy, you know, so it's not too sort of sticky on the head sort of thing. So I don't think it matters if the stitch is a little bit longer. It looks more like a little straw hat that way. So it's halfway around for number 2. It is really curling now. This is where the stitch marker starts clacking on the table, which can be a little bit annoying. So I have to lift my hands up a little bit higher to crochet. Yep, can you see how we got that proper curl? So just keep pushing it out and you'll get the shape of the hat appearing. I must admit, when I first crocheted, the amount of things I did inside out, because I wasn't aware really, especially when I was working in double crochets, that there was a right and a wrong side. There is, but you can actually get away with it sometimes, depending on what stitch you're doing. In fact, when we get around this, we'll have a look at that. Way round number 2, mark it down. Right, as I say, this is what we will call the right side, the side you want facing out. Now, if I push it out, you can see there's nothing wrong with that either, but that is what we would class as the wrong side. But to be honest, it creates a pattern on its own. I don't really mind. I could be making something and I might actually want the wrong side, but for now I do want the right side. It's just a little bit smoother. That's the only difference there. So pull a bit more yarn out and we'll go around for number 3. I'm going to grab Brie in a minute to have, because I want you to sort of compare your sizes. Most 1/3 scale sort of fashion dolls like her, this will fit. You know, you've got your Dolphys and others. They've got approximately the same head size. It can make a difference with the hair as well. If they've got really big hair, or if they've not got hair at all, because I know Smith, I think they look quite cute without their wigs on. But if you do have one like that, obviously the fit is going to be slightly different. So you would have to adjust your increase at the start. But it's a bit of fun playing around. I usually find if I've got a pattern, if I was doing somebody else's, for example, I start it and then I change it completely. Not because I don't like what they've done, but I just have a tendency to sort of veer off into sort of different ideas. I see something, I think, well, actually, that could be this. So then I start changing it. So you might find you do the same with mine as well. You'll start and then you go, well, you know, actually, I prefer it that way. That's what this is about. I try and keep the patterns basic so as you can add your twist on it. Or maybe you could add flowers or add braids. There's so many things you can do with a basic hat pattern. Right, we're almost round. We'll have one more stitch and I'm going to grab Brie just to show you how the sizing is going. Come over here then, missus. Try not to let her wig drop off. So here she is. Now, if we take this and have a look onto her head, okay, don't worry, it's a little bit tight. You can sort of see it's fitting quite comfortably, sort of just like a little cap at the moment. That will, like I said, because the yarn stretches slightly and because it's a half treble stitch, you will get a slight stretch as well. I'm just thinking we've got a lot of light coming in. I think the sun is just suddenly coming out. So I'm quite happy with that. But the next thing I would need to do is, like I say, I'm on round 3. I need to check how far down that's going to go in case I need an extra round or so. So we'll bring her in after I've done my 6. Because, like I said, I'm having to wing this because I didn't have my pattern. I'm not sure. I'm saying it's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it is 6 rounds. I'm pretty sure it is. But I might end up having to make some of it up. Go away, sun. Well, don't go away, sun. It's beautiful out there at the moment. But when the light comes in here, sometimes it bleaches what I'm doing. Right, I'm going to move my stitch marker up. Up. Come on, stitch marker. There we go. And I'm going to just pop it in there. Because we're working amigurumi style, we're working spiral, so your start position, if you're not counting, will change. Well, it doesn't change literally, it's just the spiral knocks it out. So off we go. This is round 4. You see how smoothly it goes through because it's mercerized. It doesn't catch at all. It's lovely. One of my favourite yarns. I've got I'm not sure whether this is a Patons yarn. I usually go for Patons, which is Patons over here in the UK. I don't know whether it's anywhere else. And they've got a great colour range for their mercerized 100% cottons. But I've got a feeling this could, I think it is theirs, but there is one I've used which is called Geezer, and I can't remember what brand it is. And I know I've got a couple of those. As soon as I start the work, the ball band drops off, and then I can't remember which yarn's which. But I am quite fussy about what yarn I use. Occasionally I do pick up a cheap one. I go, oh, that's really pretty, and I will use it. But I do like a nice quality yarn. If you know, I understand sometimes finances can stop people doing that, but it can also be false economy. Be careful when you go in somewhere like the pound shop. You go, oh wow, 3 balls for £1 or whatever, but they are only 50-gram balls. And I have used some of them. Some have been great. I've used them when I've done like snowmen and things like that because they do a really nice glittery white. But it is a little bit false economy. And you will feel a difference if you use a better quality yarn with your actual crochet, with your own hands and things like that. Right, so that's 4 rounds. We're on number 5. Off we go, number 5. Oh, I was about to say we're not clattering on the table then, and I promptly dropped it and it clattered, didn't it? I might get away with it. Because as soon as we get to the brim, we don't need the stitch marker anyway. Told you it wouldn't take too long though. I think perhaps, I mean, I'm not actually sure how long this is running, but I would suspect an hour-ish, something like that, if you're relatively comfortable with your crochet. Some of you might be quicker, some of you will be slower, but you work at your pace. Don't stress yourself out. It's not a race. That's why I say if you want to pause my videos while I'm working and you do your little bit and then come back, that's a great way of working. I've done that loads of times with other people's. Yay, nearly there. And we've only got one more round after this. Then we'll do another check on brie before we start doing the change in the stitches. Right, so that's round 5. Yep, so you can see we've got a nice shape there. So we're doing our last half treble round. There is a double crochet round after that, but this is the last half treble one. So for the people who've sort of skipped ahead, they will probably come back to me at that point. Well, they need to come back to me at that point because that is when the pattern is going to change. So let's just go around with this last round. I can hear my washing machine finishing. I don't think you'll be able to hear it on here. I hope you can't. As I say, it's a lovely day out there. It's probably going to be too hot for me. I love it. It looks pretty. It makes you feel smile, the hot weather and all that. But my body does not like it. I can sit out in it for maybe 20 minutes or, you know, if I've gone for a walk or something like that. But, yeah, I start to feel quite sick after that. So, it's going to be sun hats and sunglasses for me today. But at least it gets the washing dry, which is good. How many more we got? Oh, I reckon we've got about, what, 12 stitches? Something like that. I don't think I'll get this pattern written up. I mean, I've got another video to do, but it's only a quick one. Not a crochet one, just a general one. I've got a little vintage doll's house I was going to show everybody. But I think I'll get the pattern written up today. I want to try and time it so it goes up with the video. So if you would like the pattern, pop onto my website, which I'll pop all links below, and it can be purchased on there if you would like. So where are you, Brie? Here she comes. So let's have a little look. Again, this is the time you would try it on your doll and go, do I need it longer? Do I need it shorter? I say, don't worry if it's a bit tight, because it's meant to be. Nope, that is about right, because I have one more round. If we compare it, this one's been on a couple of times, but it's about the same position, because it's looser, because it's been on and off. So I'm saying, don't worry if something's a little bit tight. I mean, yeah, overly tight, fair enough. But if it's just a little bit snug, it's not a problem. It's yarn, it stretches. So our last round that we're going to do, well, similar to this, is a double crochet round, which is obviously a shorter stitch, and it's also a tighter stitch, so it brings it in a little bit. So one double crochet, yep, so look, we've gone double crochets now into every single one of those half trebles, because sometimes using these stitches, whether it be half trebles, trebles, double crochets, can be a way of shaping an item, because your double crochets, which is a single crochet in the US, that the double crochet is a much tighter stitch, so it can bring something in slightly, give something a little bit more stability. Oh, there we go, it's clattering. Whereas a half treble has a little bit more stretch, but it is still quite dense, which I do like. But then we get onto the treble, which obviously is a looser stitch, but a longer stitch, so you can get lots of different shaping with that as well. And you put the three together, you can get all sorts. There are other stitches in crochet, I know, but if you can master double crochet, half treble and treble, there's so many different patterns you can do. So it is a case of just sort of playing around and experimenting, perhaps. Almost round to little fox. The other thing with cotton, it's right easy to see. Right easy, that's my Yorkshire came out there. It's really easy to see where the actual holes are for your stitches. Right, so I'm going to take stitch marker out now. So that was my one double crochet round. We are now going to start on the brim. I will if I can get my fingernail in there. It keeps slipping off. Come on, behave. There we go. So we're now going to start in with this brim. You could make a smaller brim, you could make a bigger brim. I think if you're going much bigger than this, it's going to become very floppy. But again, that is sort of that quite sort of boho, sort of hippie look, isn't it? Which is quite nice as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a, with the right end of the hook would be useful, is do a slip stitch into the next stitch. Because this is my starting position. So I've done my slip stitch and I'm going to do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. Now into the same hole as that slip stitch, I'm going to do another treble. So trebles now, not half trebles. I'm going to do a chain, and then I'm going to do more trebles in that same stitch. Okay, so that is the start of us getting these sort of little shapes here. Now I'm going to miss one stitch and do 2 trebles, 1 chain, 2 trebles in the one after that. So we're missing this one, and into the next one, 2 trebles, 1, 2, 1 chain, 2 trebles. It pushes the shape out this, and it's like I say, starting to create the brim. Miss one, into the next one after that, you guessed it, 2 trebles, 1 chain and 2 trebles. And we're just going to do that all the way around. So remember to miss one, and then into the next one, same as you've just done, 2 trebles, 1 chain, 2 trebles. So can you see how it's starting to sort of brim out? So I say you could make a small brim, so it's more like a cloche hat than a sun hat. So you can play around with the design from there. So we're going to just keep going. So next one, 2 trebles, 1 chain, 2 trebles. At least you don't have to have a stitch marker with this one, because you can really see where you start and stop, so that's handy. And my washing machine's playing a tune now, which means it has finished completely. So after I've done the hat, I'm going to be putting my washing out. Right, miss one. So don't forget to miss one. It's very easy. You'll know if you haven't missed it because it'll start to bunch up quite badly. So you will have to miss that stitch, otherwise it just doesn't work. Miss one and into the next one. If you're still with me at this point, hello, thank you for staying with me. But I do understand if you skip forward because I would have done the same. Because obviously this round is just repeat, repeat, repeat. So you don't really need to see what I'm doing, do you? Yep, can you see how it's starting to stick out? So it's quite sort of solid in that respect. It'll make quite a nice peak actually, won't it, like that? So I say you can manipulate the pattern to suit whatever you're looking for. So I miss one and 2 trebles. 1 chain and 2 trebles. I think I'm about halfway. I'm not really, can I say? Yeah, I'm probably about halfway. Don't forget that 1 chain in between. You could get away with it if you missed it, because I've done that occasionally, but it does mark out, especially when the pattern is written for the next round. It would say go in the 1 chain space, so you do need that 1 chain between these little sets of trebles. So 1 chain and 2 trebles. Miss one, 1 treble, 2 treble, 1 chain and 2 more trebles. Miss one and in we go. 1, 2, 1 chain, 2 trebles. 2 chain, I was going to say then 2 trebles even. 1 chain and 2 trebles. Miss one, we're almost there. 2 trebles, 1 chain. 2 trebles. I think we'll get 2 more in here. Because you're doing like 2 sort of sets, because you miss one's a stitch and your little combinations a stitch, because we have 36 stitches, it should fit exactly. It is not the end of the world if it doesn't, which I know mine is going to fit, but I'll show you why it's not the end of the world. Right, so for example, I have 3 stitches left there, so I miss one and I'm in that one, and then there would be a miss one, so that is exact. But say if you hadn't got that one, or there was 2 instead, you can jump just to the next bit and nobody would know any different. Right, the last bit. Now we need to slip stitch join now. So remember the first 3 chain we did, that is where we are going to slip into the top. So push it through, through and through. So that's our slip stitch. The thing now though is we need to be in the middle of this chain space here. And we're over here, but it won't matter if we just slip stitch into there. We're in position now. We're going to do our 3 chain, which is counted as our treble, and then we're going to do the same combination all the way around as we just did. So the second round is sort of the same as the first round, but we're working in the 1 chain space. It's just the last one has got an extra stitch in there. So bear with me on that one, unless you want to just leave it at this point. So I've done the 1 chain, remember, and then I'm going to do 2 trebles. So that stitch basically, it starts with 3 chain, because every round will do at this point, but it does count as a treble. So it's still the equivalent to 2 trebles, 1 chain, 2 trebles. Into our next one. So we're going to just jump straight into that next 2 chain space with our 2 trebles, 1 chain, 2 trebles. Just jump straight into the 1 chain space, not here, it's got to be the 1 chain space, which is between the 2 sets of trebles, and off we go with the same combination. 2 trebles, 1 chain and 2 trebles. So off we go. It does feel like it's a big jump, but because you're actually popping the equivalent, well, it's 4 stitches in a chain, so it's the equivalent to 5 stitches into each of those 1 chain spaces. It's sort of, can you see how it sort of spreads out? Because it's almost like a little shell. It's a little small version of a shell, really, isn't it? So 1 more in there. Into the next one. 1, 2, 1 chain, 1 and 2. You can see how it's starting to sit nicely now. The yarn's actually sort of behaving. It hasn't rolled off the table at least yet. Off we go. So 2 trebles. Try and keep my hands in the center. I am a little bit naughty for that sometimes. I have a tendency to pull the crochet towards my body, because if I was just crocheting, say, sat on the sofa or just in my craft room on my own, I do pull my work quite close to my body. But that is really not practical for the camera. So I have to sort of work with my arms stuck out a little bit further on camera. But it means every now and again I forget what I'm doing and I'll be go like that, and that's not good, is it? Yeah, that's the distance. If I was, so that is when I'm working with you guys, I would be right over here if I was crocheting on my own. So it does show there's sort of quite a distance there. So I did do the 1 chain, didn't I? I hope I did. Yes, I did. So we're about halfway for this second round. Oh, nearly dropped it. 1 chain and 2 trebles. Let's have a look where we're up to. Yep, we're about halfway. So you can see we've got some nice shape coming in there. You don't have to have the 3rd round again if you don't want. It just depends on how big a brim you want, really. I just thought it balanced out quite nicely, the 3 sort of on her head, because I was going for that sort of like slight boho vibe. So 2 trebles, 1 chain and 2 trebles. You sort of get like into a little routine when it's like this. You don't really have to overly think, unless you drop your stitch like that, what your stitches are, because it's just repeating the same thing all the way around. 1 chain and 2 trebles. A bit more of that yarn out. I'll be curious to see how long the video has actually took when I finish it, because I sort of get an approximate idea, but obviously because I'm stopping and starting or I'm talking, it can sometimes take a little bit longer than I anticipated. Please stay on at the end as well, because I'm going to do some photos of Brie in the hat. I'm going to take her out into the garden and take some photos. So I'll pop some photos on the end. I need a photo for the thumbnail anyway. If you do have any queries or any comments as well, please pop them down below. Sort of, you know, I try and answer everybody that pops a comment on there best I can. Or if I don't know something, I'll try and find it out for you. But it's always nice to see some comments. And also, if you do enjoy my channel, please like, subscribe and share. You know how it goes. It does mean a lot to us YouTubers, because it helps us continue with doing other projects if we do have that support. So this last one, yay, last bit for this round, that is. Remember, we did a slip stitch join into the top of the 3 chain that you did right at the beginning. So just pull it through and pull it through. So you can see we now have quite a nice brim, and you could leave it at that if you wanted to, but I am going to do a 3rd one. And can you see my 3rd one sort of scallops a little bit more? So we're going to need to jump into that 1st chain space with a slip stitch. Get a bit more yarn out, and we're going to start with our 3 chain, because it's the equivalent to our treble. There it goes. And the first bit is the same as we've been doing. So if you look, it is still that combination of a 2 and a 1, but then we've added 1 in here, and it is actually a half treble, not a treble, the one we've added in. So let's just do our combination of our 2, our 1 chain, and our 2 into that 1 chain space. Okay, now the next bit, now this is one way it's hard to describe on a pattern. I'm not going to jump straight to this, but you can see there is a space between the combinations, which wasn't a chain, it is just a space, and into that space I'm going to do a half treble. So remember, it's a shorter stitch, so in, pull it through, all 3. Okay, then I'm going to jump to my 1 chain space and do my combination. So I have 1, 2, 1 chain, 1, then 2, then we look for the space, not the 1 chain space, just the space, it's like a little V, and we're going to do a half treble. Jump to our 1 chain space and 2 trebles, 1 chain, 2 trebles. Now remember the next one, it just goes in the space between the sort of sets, perhaps that's the way of saying it, and we're going to do a half treble. So I'm just going to do 1 more set for you. So we have a treble, 2 treble, 1 chain, treble and treble, into the general space, a half treble. Okay, so it's a shorter stitch. I'm going to have to do 1 more for that because otherwise it's not going to sit when I'm showing you. Right, so can you see what happens? Because I've done a half treble, it forces it down, so you get your shaping. You could do a treble, it would just keep it a little bit smoother all the way around, but I wanted a bit of a scallop edge, so that is why I did that. So you're just going to continue with that all the way around. I'm not going to do any more with you at this point. You can see sort of where it goes from there. So if you remember, it's the same in each of these 1 chain spaces. It's always 2 treble, 1 chain, 2 treble. But on this last round, where the space between, we'll call these the sets, the space between the 2 sets, I've done a half treble. Maybe I'll do 1 more for you, and then I will finish the hat after. Well, I will, like I say, take some photographs. So that was the first treble in the set, second treble in the set, 1 chain, 1 treble, 1 treble, and remember, half treble. Okay, and that is where we will continue round. Now what I do find is when I've finished a piece with like this, especially if it's something like a cotton, give it just a little stretch. It makes a difference when you've been doing certain stitches. It's important to give it that, because in case it sort of pulls a bit or something like that, just that tiny stretch can make a world of difference to what you are making. So you can see we get a nice sort of wavy effect on the hat. So that's it. So that's our hat for our smart doll. Hope you enjoyed that. If you do make one, again, I'll put my Instagram links below. Please tag me on Instagram. I know there's a few of you do. Now I have 2 Instagram accounts. I have my bysarascales, which has all the doll stuff. It might have some family bits on, it might have something I've cooked. It's just a random sort of Facebook, I was going to say. It's a random Instagram, so there's all sorts on there. So yes, you can tag me on there, but it doesn't say Octopudding. If you tag me on the Smartdoll Octopudding one, which again I'll put below, it is a different one. So you can tag me in both. I don't mind. I love to see what people have done. It means a lot to me because it means that obviously you cared enough to do it. And I love to see all the different colour combinations people do, or if you've changed them slightly, things like that. It just means a lot when people do that. And like I said, I know there's quite a few of you that do tag me, and I'm hoping you're going to have a go at this hat and then tag me. So I'm going now. End of the video. Please like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you all very soon. If you've got an idea for another video as well, if you're wanting anything particular, keep it simple though, because I like to keep my videos under an hour. And I like it to be able to anybody have a go. But if you've got ideas, I will have a go if I think it's sort of possible to actually, oh, I'm throwing my stuff away, to do it in the video. So thank you once again for watching. I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.